Okay, is this crappy job market actually over? Because the US actually beat expectations, adding 115,000 jobs in April. Now, some people are probably thinking that it's time to celebrate, but I am not some people. So let me tell you why. So, the first thing for you to consider is the broader context of job creation, which is that in 2025 and 2026, we've been significantly below the previous couple of years. And we had significantly more job creation in both April 2025 and April 2024. And with everything going on in the world, expectations were already pretty low. So this is kind of the equivalent of someone you expected to come in 10th coming in 8th, rather than someone that you expected to come in 10th coming in first. The second thing you need to pay attention to is where this job creation is happening, which this has been an ongoing trend. The primary job creation is happening in fields like transportation, warehousing, and healthcare. Meanwhile, information, which is where like technical workers go, lost 13,000 jobs, and pretty much all the corporate stuff combined stayed even. So if you were looking for jobs in corporate or tech, it continues to be a really, really challenging job market. Significantly fewer jobs today than we did at the peak for tech in November 2022. So if you're someone who's trying to break into tech, it's going to be really, really hard because even the people who were employed in tech 3 years ago cannot find jobs. I know that people get frustrated. They feel like they're not being given a fair chance. They're not being given opportunities to do jobs that they know with a little bit of training they'd be able to do. The reality is that in this job market, companies can hire people who are totally overqualified. They don't need to take a chance on anyone. So what do you do in this situation? I'm going to give you 3 tips. First, you need to do an honest reflection to figure out how competitive you actually are. If you're trying to pivot into a new field, if you worked for a year in tech and then got laid off and you've just been kind of bouncing around odd jobs for the last 3 years, you are not going to be one of the most competitive people right now on the job market. There are going to be other people who companies are going to jump on first. I realize that that doesn't feel very fair, but that is probably the reality. And so that means you may need to be more intentionally exploring some sort of pivot. Now, second thing you can do is figure out how to stand out and really position yourself as exceptional. This isn't going and sending some sort of generic template to hiring managers and recruiters after applying for jobs. This is like researching, figuring out a pain point the company is having and coming in with a proposal or coming in with a workflow that you've built. Something that shows them that your bar of excellence is so much higher than the majority of people that they're meeting. And the more of a stretch that a role is for you, the more you're going to have to go above and beyond. The third thing you should do is pivot into some of the fields where this job creation is happening. These are some of those fields. This is good timing right now to start a career in education. You can get into a certification program this summer and be ready to hit the ground running in August. Healthcare has so many shortages that they will literally pay you while you're going through training. Back when I worked in education in 2008, when there was a financial crisis, tons of people who were like consultants, investment bankers, were transitioning into education. And some of them actually built really awesome careers in education. Others taught for a few years and then went back to what they were doing previously. Something I always tell people is that I worked in education for over a decade. I was able to buy a house. I was able to travel the world. I was able to build a 6-figure career. So it is perfectly possible to build really great careers in other fields.